This is Let Us Interrupt You episode. Okay, this is Let Us Interrupt You episode 90 here on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. I thought for a minute there my computer started glitching now, so I apologize if I just looked weird just now. You know, that's been my look all weekend, actually, up to this point, watching every NFL game this weekend. I was 8-6 in my picks, but the last two picks just left me scratching my head. That includes the Steelers-Dolphins game on Sunday night and the Bears-Patriots game that was on last night, which to this I say this. I don't know what the Patriots were trying to do last night. They had Mac Jones in there at one point. Then they put Zappy in there. Zappy wasn't that great. Mac Jones was probably worse. He probably should have just stayed out of the game if it knew it was good for him. And I think realistically, it put more pressure on Zappy at the end of the day. I think Mac Jones' return put more pressure on Zappy. And I think realistically, it was Bill Belichick trying to appease both Joe Judge and Matt Patricia because they both don't like Jones. And Jones is supposed to be the franchise quarterback. Here in this game, you have Kenny Pickett, who I can now say is the worst quarterback in the league. He is. He's got 2 touchdowns, 7 interceptions right now. He's not in good company right now. He's heading to the Ryan Leaf level. He's obsessed with getting questioned. He's obsessed with getting called out on some stuff. He's calling his own players out. He's calling his own team out. He's calling out the media. And yet this guy acts like he's been there for over a decade. And yet this kid has yet to do anything remotely interesting. But I will say this from these two games here is I picked Pittsburgh to beat the Dolphins in an upset. I was wrong. I picked the Patriots to beat the Bears. I was wrong. And to that I say, I think the Patriots are done. I'm going to call it like I see it. I don't think the Patriots will make the playoffs this year. I don't think they have a shot right now in the dark right now in this whole thing to make a deep playoff run. I just don't. I think realistically their defense, as good as they are, I mean, I know what people are thinking. They couldn't beat the Chicago. You're at home. This is Bill Belichick's moment to break George Halas's record, which nobody cares about anyway. But it's big enough for Bill, right? Now it is. I mean, beforehand it wouldn't be, but now it is. But you kind of think about it, the guys would have been like about 22 wins away from catching Shula. That's not happening now, I don't think. As a matter of fact, and I wouldn't be surprised with this, but if the Patriots keep on losing, well, Bill's going to go. That's the way I see it. Bill's going to go. And here's the rest of their schedule, by the way, if anyone's curious about how this rest of the schedule is going to go. So they're at the Jets. They're home against the Colts. They're home against the Jets at the bye week that they play against the Colts. Then they're playing Thanksgiving Day at Minnesota. They're home against the Buffalo Bills. They're at the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football 11 days later. 6 days later, they have a Sunday night game at Las Vegas to face the Raiders, which I think they could beat the Cardinals and the Raiders, I think. But I think realistically these next – I think the Jets sweep them. I'm going to be realistic here and say that I think the Jets sweep them this year. The Jets are not frauds. They're not a fraudulent team. I'll get more into that why in just a second. But really, if you think about it, the Jets will sweep them. So that will break them down to, what, 3-7 at that point? And they play the Vikings. They might be 3-8. They play Buffalo. They're 3-9. So that takes them out of the playoff mix completely. And then they play the Cardinals and the Raiders. That gives them back at least 2 wins. You're home against Cincinnati, which you'll lose that game. You're going to lose to Miami, and then you're going to lose to Buffalo in the end anyway. So that makes you 5-12 this year. Because I can tell you right now, the Jets are for real. If you couldn't beat the Chicago Bears, who really, let's be honest, you might as well just end it now. If you can't beat the Chicago Bears when you got a quarterback that throws the ball 18 times, averages 10 completions a game, and he's playing like Lamar Jackson out there. He's playing like an MVP type of level out there. This is probably the best Justin Fields game I've ever seen in the NFL ever. You know how sad that sounds? You can't beat this guy at all. You're at home. You have the advantage. Their offensive line's freaking terrible. I don't want to hear. They have the worst offensive line in the league, it seems like, every year. But yet you can't beat this team? I think you're pathetic. I think you're absolutely pathetic. And you want to know something? I might as well just start off with this game right now. Might as well just get it out of the way at this point, right? Like ripping off a Band-Aid, because this is a Patriot team that's pissing me off. I'm sorry, but it is. I don't know what the hell Bill Belichick was thinking on letting in Mac Jones to start, then pulling him out and putting Zappe in there, then putting Jones back in the game. He might as well treat it like it was a preseason game, like the Carolina Panthers did when they had P.J. Walker and they had Sam Darnold. How pathetic that wasn't a preseason, back and forth. This is what I felt like watching. You want to know how I knew that game? Because I was at that freaking game. I was at that Panther-Patriot joke of a preseason game. That preseason game was a joke. That's why I think all preseason games are jokes, if you ask me. But you want to know something? This game was pathetic. Justin Fields last night went 13 for 21, 179 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Zappe went 14 for 22, 185 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. I guess he did throw it for 2 interceptions. I was totally through him in one. Jones, I think, might have thrown 2 interceptions. This game was just beyond over this point. Justin Fields had a 3-yard run. Second quarter, it's 10-0 right now. Jacoby Myers gets a hookup from Bailey Zappe. Nice pass there. Nice touchdown right now. Nice acrobatic catch by Myers. Makes it 10-7. Stevenson with a 4-yard run. Makes it 14-10. Khalil Herbert had a 25-yard touchdown pass from Fields. Made it 17-14. Another field goal. They have a few more field goals that they made it 26-14. Then David Montgomery runs it in, untouched, 1-yard touchdown. Boom. That's it. That was with 12-13. This game was already over with the second field goal. They had attempted at that point at the end of the Khalil Herbert play. And the drive, I wasn't just about the Bears last night. If they didn't take a lot of risks, they didn't try to go for a fourth down and try and make a statement. They played the game. They played conservative here. And I think Fields throwing the ball 21 times in this game kind of made it interesting. You know, Herbert rush, Herbert and Montgomery, that combination made things a hell of a lot more interesting. I truly thought realistically Patriots were going to beat this Bears team. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout, but I thought it'd be like a 27-20 type of game. Both defensive struggles there. Patriots kind of run away with it a little bit. The Bears get a garbage touchdown. That's pretty much the end of it there. Mac Jones, by the way, went 3 for 6 for 13 yards, 1 interception. He is probably got the second worst rating in the league right now behind Kenny Pickett. I'm just gonna put it out there for you right now. He probably does. Kenny Pickett right now has got the worst quarterback rating. Mac Jones has got the second worst. Ramon Stevenson last night led in receiving yards last night. He had 8 catches for 59 yards last night. Myers only had 2 catches for 34 yards, had the 30-yard reception. That was it. That was the only redeeming thing about the Patriots offense last night. You had that last night. Nelson Aguilar did nothing last night. 0 catch for 0 yards. Harris had 1 catch for 2 yards. He actually had 3 carries for 8 yards last night. I don't know why they even rushed this guy back. What was the point of rushing this guy back? I don't get it. Ramon Stevenson, 11 carries for 39 yards last night for a touchdown. The team overall had 19 carries for 70 yards. Mac Jones had 3 carries for 24 yards, and that's because he got so much pressure all night long. And I heard this take today on Felger and Mez, so give credit to them on this one. But they ran more plays to basically satisfy Zappe more than they ran it for Jones, is what my takeaway. And I actually agree with it, because I think realistically, deep down, Matt Patricia and Joe Judge hate Mac Jones. They don't like being questioned. They don't like being called out. Judge was obviously the one who was the most hated in New York Giants because he was called out every week in New York when he was coaching for the Giants. And Matt Patricia basically tortured in Detroit, but deservedly so, because he's a jerk and a D-bag out in Detroit. Thought he was a big shot, but in reality, he got his comeuppance. And now here, they're not really coordinators here right now, and Mac's gonna really know it. I mean, you talk about the pressure that Mac is feeling right now with not getting any real help here. If I'm Mac Jones, I'm looking at this right now saying this is it for me. I mean, I know that it's only the kid's second year, totally different situation. Zappe will be in a sophomore year next year, slump kind of deal. But the difference is that Mac Jones last night had no offensive line help. The penalties in this game didn't help either. I mean, this was a nightmare of a game for Trent Brown. Brown had at least 4 or 5 penalties in the game. I fell asleep in this game for most of this game, really. But look at the stats for a minute. 24 first downs for the Bears, 12 first downs for the Patriots. Now, I don't have the graphic on here because I can't really show it on here. I wish I could. But this is what they had here. You had 13 rushing first downs for the Chicago Bears, 3 for the Patriots all night long. They were 11 for 18 on third down, the Bears, 5 for 10 for New England. They were outplayed 70 plays to 48. They were out-yard 390 to 260. They outpassed them. They just couldn't outrun them here. But this was an embarrassing game. Despite the fact that Fields got sacked 4 times, the Patriots had less penalty yards than the Bears did, but they had ridiculous, useless penalties. 3 of the penalties alone came from Trent Brown himself. I don't even know who the other one went to. Time possession was dominated by 37 minutes and 14 seconds for the Chicago Bears. Patriots only had 22 minutes and 46 seconds. All in all, this game was pathetic. This was a pathetic game on Monday Night Football, grand stage of them all. And all you did, if you're Bill Belichick, Matt Patricia, and Joe Judge, is you hurt Zappy's credibility. You basically had the Boston fans turn on him afterward. You had the Boston faithful turn his back on Mac Jones. So right now, you're in a horrible situation right now with a quarterback conundrum at this point. And really, I don't know if Mac will start or Bailey Zappi will start. And I don't even know who's better now at this point. Because either way, you're going to lose. You're not really having a good chance right now in winning this game. You're not going to pull this game out of your behind next week against the Jets. The Jets are going to have a tough defense. They can't be stopped. It's just, I don't know why even bother. Why even bother going to next week with this? And people are going to look at me and say, oh, it's just the Jets. And to that I say, they are for real. I mean, all in all, this was the most pathetic game in my opinion, by far the most pathetic game of the entire season in a nutshell. And, and it's a shame. It's a shame because there's so much better than this. There's so much better than this. And it's actually pathetic. It's actually pathetic of how sad this team really became. I mean, they were on a good run. They had a great defense of the year, in my opinion, against the Chicago Bears. Right. It's absolutely embarrassing. When people have to look back on this now, they're going to look back and realize, damn, that actually happened. I mean, it's funny when you think about it, really, because no one else is going to figure this stuff out. But it's just how embarrassing is this Patriots team now at this point to not get a win like that? I mean, it's just, come on. Anyway, I'm having some computer issues here, so I'm trying to pull the rest of the scores here on my phone. I apologize for that. But here are the rest of the scores right now. I'm going to go from the bottom up here. So here we go. Dolphins, Steelers. Again, I do apologize for the technical difficulties on my laptop here. So I would have the webpage working on here. Unfortunately, it's just froze now at this point. And right now, as I'm trying to talk to the screen right now, my screen's frozen. I don't have a Wi-Fi problem, I don't believe. As I hope it doesn't right now. Now I can't even see myself. There you go. Because I usually record the feed live on here, but for whatever reason, my screen just froze, and now the picture on my screen is frozen. I don't think it's happening to anybody else right now who's watching the stream, but it is what it is. The Dolphins Steelers game. The only thing you really need to know about this game is that Kenny Pickett had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. He had 257 yards throwing in the game, 32 for 44. Tua was 21 for 35, 261 in this game. Tua's lone touchdown came in the first quarter for 8 yards out, bunch of field goals. George Pickens got a 7-yard touchdown pass, and the field goal came in the late in the second quarter, 16-10. Dolphins get the win. Pickett threw an interception towards the end in the end zone, and the passes were terrible. I don't know if Pickett half the time knows what he's doing or just doesn't care, But he has a Ryan Leaf attitude now at this point. And Ryan Leaf wanted to fire everybody. They wanted to fire everybody in this case for the Chargers. He wanted them to be fired. It was never him. It was the coaching. It was this. Pickett's got the exact same attitude. I'm watching his whole body language. His body language blows. Anyway, we got some breaking news baseball-wise. I wasn't going to talk baseball for just a second, but apparently Skip Schumacher is going to be the new manager for the Miami Dolphins. This is according to CBSSports.com. So congratulations to Skip Schumacher. I don't believe he's actually I think this might be his first time managing, so good for him. So that's the only breaking news that really need to be taught out here right now. I'll give you the rest of the other scores quickly. I'm not going to get into highlights to every single thing that happened in the Seahawks-Chargers game, but Seahawks get to win 37-23. All you need to know about J.C. Jackson is he's out for the year. He fractured his tibia. Raiders beat the Texans 38-20. Duran Harmon got a pick six victory to put the Texans away. Jets beat the Broncos 16-9. Giants and Jaguars. This game was I might as well give you the highlight for the other games, but we'll give you the highlight for the Giants and Jaguars because that game was actually impressive. The rest of the other games weren't really that great. Breece Hall's out for the year for the Jets, by the way, tore his ACL. He's done for the year. And James Robinson now will be the new running back because he got traded as of today. Also, Jonathan Hankins, I believe, got traded from the Raiders to the Cowboys, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. There was an NFL trade today. I think it was Hankins that went from the Raiders to the Cowboys, I believe. They acquired him from the Raiders. So I guess it's good news, I guess, for the Dallas Cowboys. Anyway, Giants game started out with Darius Slayton getting a 32-yard touchdown pass from Daniel Jones. Travis Etienne Jr. with a 7-yard run. Got the 2-point conversion because he had another two-yard run, made it 8-7. Later in the second quarter, it's actually, I would say going to the third quarter here because it was all field goals. Patterson got a field goal, and the Giants had 2 field goals before the end of the half. Trevor Lawrence got a 1-yard run in the end zone. Daniel Jones got a 1-yard run in the fourth, then a field goal. And then last chance for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence tries to throw it into the end zone for Zay Jones. He comes up 1 yard short. Game is over. New York Giants get the win 23-17. The Giants are now 6-1 and only a half a game back in the NFC East. The Giants are for real. That's how you got to look at it. The Giants are for real. They are a 6-1 team. They start out the year 3-0. In their last 4 games, they've been 3-1 to the Dallas loss. They have not been affected by the loss from the Dallas Cowboys and Cooper Rush. That didn't affect them at all. That just made them stronger and more powerful and dominant. That's what this did. It may not seem like it here in this game against Jacksonville, but I think here in this case, you could argue the Giants right now are for real right now in the NFC East as far as I'm concerned. They're the number 1 team, I think, in the NFC East. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will fall eventually to the Dallas Cowboys or the Giants because I think the defense makes a difference here. I think the rush attack makes a difference right now. The offensive line makes a difference. Despite the fact that Evan Neal might be out with a MCL injury. So the Giants will be fine, though. Their defense is scarier enough as it is. I mean, you have the Giants defense, the Eagles defense, and the Cowboy defense right now in amongst in the top 5. They're dominant. So I wouldn't put anything past them here. Jones in the game went 19 for 30, 202 yards and a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence went 22 for 43, 310 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Saquon Barkley had 24 carries for 110 yards. Travis Etienne Jr. had 14 carries for 114 yards and a touchdown. Kirk had 7 carries for 96 yards, and Slayton had 3 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown over the Giants. Cowboys beat the Lions 24-6. This game was basically Dak Prescott's return game. Not much to it. 1 touchdown, 19 for 25, 207 yards. Jared Goff went 21 for 26, 228 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble losses. Got swallowed by the Dallas defense. They're the number 1 ranked defense now in the NFL, and they're now 5-2. Not that far behind the Giants or the Eagles per se, but they could probably be the Eagles and the Giants later on in the year because they are playing a home game against the Giants, and I believe they play at home against the Eagles coming up. So the Cowboys could still win their division. I mean, their defense right now is scarier enough as it is, and I think right now Dak Prescott being back, look, it makes no difference. The Cowboys are still good with or without Dak Prescott. Their defense kind of proves it every time. They've been a dominant defense now for the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, let's be real here for a minute. The Dallas Cowboys are a scary bunch. They are. Let's see. We're gonna get to Chiefs and 49ers, this was a doozy of a game. Patrick Mahomes going off in this game. He throws a touchdown to Mercaro Harmon for actually, I should say Harmon got a 25-yard run. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got a 16-yard run. Harmon again with another run there. Juju Smith gets a 45-yard touchdown pass from Mahomes. Mahomes, I believe, got a 8-yard pass to McCall Harmon at one point. This was a interesting game. 49ers started out with a 10-0 lead at one point. And this was Mahomes just going off of Mahomes here, doing Mahomes thing. 25 for 34, 423 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Garoppolo was 25 for 37, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Chiefs get the win 44-23. This was a game that the 49ers got exposed defensively. And I don't know if they're out of the playoff mix just yet. I don't think that's really necessarily the case. I think they're still in the playoff hunt as far as I'm concerned. They do have the Rams on the road this weekend, though, which will make things interesting. From there, they play the Chargers, and they have their bye week. They have the Cardinals and Mexico City, which I think they'll win. They'll beat the Saints. I mean, they have the Chargers. I think you could argue right now they might beat the Chargers. So that puts them at 4-4, 5-4, 6-4, 7-4. So they still have a shot of winning their division. The question is, can they win the division? It's a tough one. I don't know. By the way, it was National Tight End Day, so this game was interesting. I came down to George Kittle, who had 6 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. Juju Smith had 7 catches for 124 yards and a touchdown. So that's that. I'll give the other scores quickly. Ravens beat the Browns 23-20. Panthers beat the Buccaneers in the biggest upset of the year, in my opinion, 21-3. Commanders beat the Packers 23-21. The heroic Aaron Rodgers tried to go for some laterals there. He tried to do a lateral to his offensive lineman, which was wide open. Could have gone in the end zone for a touchdown, but went through his legs, went out of bounds. But all in all, he did not have a good game. Rodgers went 23 for 35, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. Taylor Heineke didn't do any better. 20 for 33, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Brian Robinson Jr. had 20 carries for 73 yards. McLaurin had 5 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. That was that. Titans beat the Colts 19-10, and the Bengals beat the Falcons 35-17. Joe Burrow had 481 yards and 3 touchdowns. Had a field day. Marcus Mariota had 8 for 13, 124 yards and a touchdown. The Falcons played a pretty good game. It was interesting. The Bengals really were trying to run away with it. Falcons kind of stalled them in the second half. Didn't really allow much here. You could have argued right now that the Falcons could have came back and won this game, but they're shorthanded. They don't really have a lot of their weapons. I think if they would have had their weapons, they probably would have made it more of a game. But, Marcus Mariota is not that good of a quarterback anyway, with or without the weapons. So that's that. My takeaway here for this weekend is that Matt Ryan is no longer the starting quarterback. Sam Ellinger going forward will be the starting quarterback for the rest of the way. The decision was made, even though Matt Ryan is going through some shoulder problems. That was that. Oh, yeah, and Brett Ripken, by the way, I meant to bring this up earlier. Didn't get the start for the Broncos against the Jets. They lost 16-9. He was 24 for 46, 225 yards and an interception. Zach Wilson was terrible in this game. 16 for 26, got thrown around, but not sacked in this game. I'm still trying to figure out how the hell he got out of most of the sacks he got into in the game over the weekend. But that was that. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the Colts stink. Titans are the number 1 team right now in the AFC South, in my opinion. They're going to make the playoff picture just a little bit more interesting, I think, because I was writing the Titans off. I thought they were done. But I think realistically now they got to figure it out with Derrick Henry, getting back to his old self. You got Ryan Tannehill, who's well rested. Didn't play overall great in the game. Only had 132 yards throwing. No touchdowns to speak of here, really. Derrick Henry had 30 carries for 128 yards. The scoring in this game really came down to was Bullock, a pick 6, and that was pretty much it. The pick 6 really was what changed the whole game for Andrew Adams. He got the 76-yard pick 6 return. That set up the Titans win from the get-go. And that was it. I mean, the offenses weren't really great in this game. Matt Ryan went 33 for 44, 243 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor only had 58 yards carrying. Paris Campbell had 10 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. That was it. Hooper only had 3 catches for 56 yards in the game. Those are your overall stats that you need to know, really, in this game. Other than that, that's it. Week 8, Ravens-Buccaneers played Thursday night. I'll give you my prediction right now. I think the Ravens win the game. I don't see Tom Brady getting the win on a short week here right now after Brady's embarrassing loss to the Carolina Panthers in one of the biggest upsets of the year, in my opinion. To lose to a P.J. Walker, an XFL quarterback who really hasn't proven anything in the NFL, hasn't had any big numbers, hasn't really had any big games, and here didn't play any better here. Tom Brady still outplayed him despite the fact the team only scored 3 points. They were terrible on fourth down. They were 0 for 3 on fourth down against the Buccaneers. They couldn't get anything going. They had one lousy field goal that meant nothing. That was it. That was their whole game. Mike Evans had a wide open touchdown, dropped it in the end. Dropped it. They got it gone for 70+ yards. That didn't go anywhere. Godwin had a few drops in this game. And there were a lot of times where I looked back at this Falcon team and I said, I'm sorry. Because now, you know what? They might as well be the Falcons. The Falcons right now have morphed into the Bucks, and the Bucks have morphed into the Falcons. That's what they are right now. But realistically right now, I look at the Baltimore Ravens offense. I look at the Buccaneers defense. They're tired. They're exhausted. They can't stop anybody. They get tired, and they get winded by halftime. They have no mojo going back in the second half. And I think Lamar's going to run all over them. So I think – And think about this one for a second right now at this point. When you have a rush, like when you have the speed and the athleticism of Lamar Jackson, it's hard to slow that guy down, which is why I think the Ravens will win this game. And they already are 1.5 point favorites. So that's one of my picks for that week. Patriots-Jets play Sunday at 1 o'clock. Commanders-Colts play at 4:25 on Fox. You got Packers-Bills for Sunday Night Football on NBC. You also got Broncos-Jaguars in London. Panthers, Falcons, Bears, Cowboys, Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals, Vikings, Raiders, Saints. Oh, God, what an entertaining game that will be between suckback teams. Steelers at the Eagles. Again, Kenny Pickett's, chance to pull off the upset maybe. You got Titans, Texans. You have 49ers, Rams, which might be the game of the week. Also, Giants, Seahawks, which also might be game of the week. And you have Bengals, Browns, Monday Night Football. Not much else to say about it, really. Not much else to say about that, really. That's it. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell for those games there. Let's see. Is there anything else to talk about? Oh yeah, might as well get into the World. Actually, let me see if I was right about that. I was looking at the Cowboys trade for. Yeah, I was right. So the Cowboys got the trade. I had to see if I was correct there on that one. Anyway, we're going to move on from NFL talk, get into some hockey talk. Bruins over the weekend, they played tonight, actually, against the Dallas Stars. Last night, they did not play. I think on Sunday, they did not play. Saturday, they played, I believe, which together went over the Wild in overtime 4-3. I'm not going to go through every game that happened on the weekend, like I said before. I meant to do a Snapchat or like an Instagram like posting and story thing, but my phone's been having a problem. My flip phone that I used to have is now broken. So I had to get a new phone. I had to get some stuff downloaded from the old phone to the new phone. So there's been a lot of issues with that. So I'm not going to get into detail from every game here that happened last night, but as well give you the updates right now for the other games that are on tonight. You got Dallas Stars taking on the Bruins tonight. Dallas Stars and Bruins are both have actually the Bruins are 5-1-0, and the Stars are 4-1-1. You got Avalanche and Rangers playing later on tonight. Both teams are 3-2-1. Penguins and Flames are both 4-1 because the Penguins have got a shootout loss and the Flames don't. Golden Knights play the Sharks later on tonight. The Knights are 5-2-0. The San Jose Sharks are 2-6-0. Coyotes play the Blue Jackets. Devils play the Red Wings. Wild play the Canadians. Panthers play the Blackhawks. Sabres play the Kraken. And the Lightning play the Kings tonight. So far, with the Bruins, they are leading the Atlantic Division right now. They are the team right now with a 5-1 record. They have 10 points. They are now 4-0 at home. They are 1-1 on the road. And they've been 5-1-0 in the last 10 games, really in the last 6 or 7 games, really. But other than that, they played 6 games. They've been good. Not much else to talk about there. For baseball, I get the Shape Schoolmaker news. We guys look at the World Series matchup. The Phillies 1-5 against the Padres, 4-3 on Sunday. The Astros won 6-5 over the Yankees, a game, the Yankee team that looked like they were ready to win that series. Unfortunately, they came up short. They get swept here. This is the end of the road, I think, for Aaron Judge here. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. I think Aaron Judge is done with the New York Yankees. I don't think he wants to be a New York Yankee anymore if he's not going to get paid by the Yankees. I mean, at this point, I think if the Yankees were to lose Aaron Judge here, this kind of sets the tone going forward. They're going to be a lackluster team that practically will get in either an American League East division win or lose by default here in the wild card opener because they're not good anymore. You know, as sad as it is, they're not good anymore. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. What it really comes down to in the end of the day right now, if you're a Yankee fan right now, is you should have known this was coming. You should have known this was coming. And I think realistically, knowing the fact right now that you put up no effort to win this series, you had a horrible game 3, which you didn't even bother showing up for, which I knew was you were done there at that point. Game 2, you did nothing besides make it close. Game 1 was your best chance. You blew that. I mean, it was really, when it really comes down to it, you blew the series after game 2. That's really what it comes down to it. You blew it after game 2. You certainly blew it after game 3. And game 4 was no contest. And really for the Astros, thanks to Pena, who's really been a difference maker in this lineup, he's hitting for 353. You got Alvarez who's hitting 214 in his ALCS so far. Bergman's been hitting for 333. So is Guerrero. If you ask me, Altuve is such an afterthought on his own team, because he's the face of the franchise, but he's been such an afterthought with Pena on this team. So that's what drives me insane. McClure had 5 innings, had 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 earned runs, 8 hits. And the Yankees, Cortez, well, he was kind of pathetic. 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Probably his worst outing he's ever had in his outing as a Yankee this season, by any means. Whether it was bullpen, whether it was starting, that was his worst outing he's ever had. And I think for a guy who was really prepared to play in this game, and you could have argued right now they could have kept him in the game. I don't know why they didn't even bother to keep him in the game at this point. You could have had this guy play for another 3 or 4 innings. You would have kept the game competitive. Instead, you would play the logical, analytic way and put in too much bullpen usage, which cost you the game. So that's it. I mean, you had your chance in the 9th inning. Let's go to play-by-play for the 9th inning. I might as well just get it out of the way. Might as well just scroll down here and get to it. Bottom 9 here, Trevino flied out, Bader grounded out to first, and Judge grounded it right out to the pitcher. So there you go. His last play as a New York Yankee was a ground out to the closer, to Ryan Presley. So that's it. I mean, there's not much else to talk about that with that really. Other than the fact right now that Aaron Judge and the Yankees, despite the fact that they played a great game 4 and made it competitive, and they had a 3-0 lead, they blew it. They absolutely blew it. So that's that. As far as basketball news that was going on last night, we had some games that were on last night. I'll do the scores of that quickly. Raptors beat the Heat 98-90. Bulls beat the Celtics 120-102. That's the Celtics' first loss of the year. Spurs beat the Timberwolves 115-106. 76ers get, I believe, their first win of the year. They beat the Pacers last night 120-106. Both teams are now 1-3. Knicks beat the Magic 115-102. Jazz lose to the Rockets 114-108. The Grizzlies win by 10, 134-124. Trailblazers beat the Nuggets 135-110. That was a competitive game, by the way, for Memphis. They're now 3-1. Irving had 37 points. Ja Morant had 38 points. The least talked about basketball game last night looked like it was a runaway so far for a game of the year, in my opinion, for 2022. The Knicks you could argue right now that the Knicks and Celtics opener from last season was more talked about, I thought, this time around than it was for this game here this year. Durant last night had 37 points. Irving had 37 points. Claxton had 16 points. Simmons had 7 points in 28 minutes. Very limited minutes for Simmons for right now. Trailblazers beat the Nuggets last night 135-110. Tonight's games, you got Pistons-Warriors. I'm sorry, Pistons, Wizards. Sorry, Mavericks, Pelicans, Clippers, Thunder, and Warriors take on the Suns tonight. So the Warriors will be in Phoenix, not at home against the Pistons. Wizards are 2-1. The Pistons are 1-2. The Mavericks and Pelicans are on the night. Zion Williamson, I believe, was downgraded to out, if I'm not mistaken here with that. Yeah, downgraded to out. So I was right there, which is not surprising. You know, I don't know if people realize this yet, but Zion Williamson does not want to be a New Orleans Pelican. He wants to be a guy that basically pulls an Albert Haynesworth right now and takes every penny he possibly can from this basketball team. I'm convinced by it. I want to say Zion this year has yet to play a game so far for the team. And that's really sad, actually, when you think about it, really. Very sad. Zion has yet to play for a team. So far, he's averaging 22 points per game. Apparently, he has played so far this year, which is good. 6.7 rebounds, 2.3 assists. But you never would know that because the guy's out. Can't stay healthy. Fragile, made of glass. That's my take. You can follow me on my social media. You can follow Mike on his social media. Mike will, I never know what Mike's schedule is going to be at this point, but I will say this right now, is that he'll try to get here, hopefully sometime this week. We'll see what happens now going forward. Michael Smith, Mike Rolla, 97 on Snapchat. J Alva Sports 123 for Snapchat for me. Bleacher Report is J Alva Loves Sports. Joseph Alva on Facebook. Joe Alva Boston Sports on Instagram. MJ Smitty 97 on Instagram for Mike. I don't believe he has a Bleacher Report, but I think we both have TikTok, and it's both just our names. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to end the stream here. Hope you like the show. Hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Be much appreciated. And I will see y'all on Saturday. I'm out. This is Joseph Alvo signing off, unless interrupted.